Hey guys, it's Rachel from the Little Ring Lamb Tape, a book review on Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So if you're new to my book reviews or just need a refresher, I have my books in 5 different categories: plot, characters, cover, suspense, and overall in terms of reading, very soon, 5 out of 5. Not so soon, 1 out of 5. So this will be a spoiler free review because I don't want to spoil a book before you guys have read it, and usually I just end up doing spoiler free reviews anyway. So basically this book is one that I knew was going to break my heart, but I had to read it. You know those ones where you read the back and you're like, this is going to make me really upset? That's been my month so far. It's been August, the month where everything's ending. All the good love stories, they have so much heartbreak, and I have so much heartbreak because my love story of summer is soon ending, and it's very emotional. Because school time is approaching, unfortunately. And, I do like school. I just don't like homework. So, anyway, enough of my issues. We're going to move on to Forever Interrupted. So this book is about a girl named Elsie Porter, and basically she has a whirlwind romance with a man named Ben. Also, I'm looking at the back just for reference point if you see me looking down. And basically they fall in love and they've eloped by May. So they met on New Year's, and by May they're married. And then one day Ben is out riding his bike going to pick up some cereal for his wife, and he's hit by a truck and killed on impact. Elsie hears all this and is obviously grief-stricken, and she must face Susan, who's actually her mother-in-law she hasn't met because Ben didn't introduce or even tell his mother that he was married because he didn't want her. He had some things why he wouldn't tell her. It wasn't sketchy reasons. Basically, this story is interweaving Elsie and Ben's charmed romance with Elsie and Susan's healing process. So we get chapters where we see Elsie and Ben before the accident, and then chapters of Elsie after coping with Susan, and Susan coping with Elsie. And it'll remind you that there's more than one way to find a happy ending. So this book was actually really beautiful. It was very upsetting though. I find Taylor Jenkins Reid writes really good sad books as far as I've read, because I've read 2 of her 4 books by this point. So basically plot, I give a 4 out of 5. Now this book, I felt like some points it was a little bit slow, but it was also a book more so character driven than plot driven, because basically by the first chapter you know what's going to happen, and we just seen the fallout of it and how she's going to turn her life around. But I love the chapters interweaving that we got to see the relationship, because when hearing about it you can think it's cute, but then you see it and you're like, that's really cute, and it makes you more upset. And I feel like the grief is more impactful when we have those scenes, because we didn't know Elsie and Ben obviously, so when we have those scenes of them together and then her grief stricken, we can really grasp more so what she's thinking and feeling than if it was just her dealing with this from the get-go and we had no interludes back and forth. I liked how it was set up that way. I really liked the plot, and it was really easy to connect to certain characters, and at some points certain characters are seen you see what grief does to people and how it can control their emotions and really tamper with them. And it's very difficult, especially in this book, because we do have Elsie who's feels a little bit out of place because she only knew Ben for 6 months, yet nobody in his family really knew about her, and his mom doesn't know the stranger and doesn't want to accept that Ben was actually married without her knowing. So there's a lot of different layers, and certain things you oh, that's so mean that she'd say that to Elsie, but it's if I was in her shoes I'd probably do the same thing. And it's a lot of different, these 2 characters have a lot of different emotions and a lot of different relatable things I can find, even if you're going through grief and you're not in the mother or wife or husband, you're not in those situations, just in a familial grieving or grieving for a friend. It's very relatable. Characters I give a 5 out of 5. Taylor Jenkins Reid writes so good, so her characters are amazing. I just really love them. No matter what happens, her books have a lot of character driven devices, and I really love her characters. I find them very realistic. They're not annoying. They don't make dumb decisions. They act very much like real people, and that you can kind of see this happening, certain things. Her characters are very self-aware. They realize and they can see different perspectives besides their own, which I find is very important for a character when they're not just themselves driven, but they can think of others. Because oftentimes I find characters are very, especially in romance, are very they have their partner and they don't really consider what anybody else is feeling. But Elsie's very aware of what others are feeling, and it's very hard for her to sometimes control her temper because she is dealing with a tremendous loss. She thought she was going to have this person for the rest of her life. And then we have Susan, who is the mother, and you see her grief, and it's a grief of somebody who's known somebody longer, and you can see the guilt with grief sometimes. Because Elsie hasn't known Ben that long, so there's a lot of guilt that she has, or in a lot of mixed feelings, because she did know, she thought she knew everything about him, but she was still trying to getting to know him. So it's a very big whirlwind of emotions, but Taylor Jenkins Reid writes the characters really well, where her characters weren't annoying at all. I really loved all her characters and very realistic interpretations, and I really love that her books are more character driven, because sometimes it's a nice change from plot driven books. Cover, sorry if I'm looking down also because my notebook's on the ground where I have score. Cover, I give a 1 out of 5. I'm not a big fan of this cover. I do like the striped spine. I think that's very pretty. But I love simplistic covers, and like, it has the 2 wedding bands, and if you can see closely, one has a crack through it, which is obviously symbolizing Ben, or her broken heart, either one. And I liked how they're looped in like kind of an infinity. I don't know if that was intentional, probably because it says forever. I love the blue, but I'm not a big fan of the yellow with this blue, and I'm not a big fan of the font. It's too simplistic for me. Like, I like simplistic covers, but it's not my jam. It's not an ugly cover, but it's okay, I guess. And suspense, I give a 3.5 to 5. By the time, because it is more character driven, it's harder for it to be suspenseful because we know what happened, and we're more so dealing with emotions than driving the plot really forward. So suspense is pretty high because I did want to see how Elsie and Ben's relationship did unfold, but at the same time I could put it down because like I knew what happened and it was just dealing with the aftermath. And overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5. I definitely reread this book. It's really good. I definitely want to read more Taylor Jenkins Reid. It hasn't dissuaded me off the Taylor Jenkins Reid path, and I hope to finish the rest of her books. Like, I have 2 more left that she's published, and I hope to get to those by the end of this year because I've been really enjoying her books. As heartbreaking as they are, they're very beautiful in a sense. And yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.